So, but please do use the chat. We really want to hear from you. We really want to hear your questions. We'll try to address them. We also always send a recap. And then Tyler takes a couple days usually to edit the recording. And then you can go to where you signed up, fitnessfest.org/fitproconnection. You can go there and you can scroll down and we've so many because we've been doing this Fit Pro Connection for, I don't even want to count the weeks, 4 months, 5 months, whenever. And so there's some really interesting topics. So it's always been free. We've got a real fun one for you next week as well. 2 weeks from now, we start Fitness Fest Virtual, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we're going to get started. My name, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Janice Jakes, and I'm the owner of the Fitness Fest Conference and Expo. I also am the owner of Desert Swim School and the creator of Aqua Progressions certification, live turned, also turned hybrid, soon to be turned online, virtual. So we've all got to pivot. We've all got to make the best of it, stay positive. These forums are for all of us to connect and learn and stay positive. So keep it positive and one foot in front of the other. So today's topic is a hot one. And whether you've done virtual streaming workouts before, or whether you're thinking about it, whatever, there's a lot that Tyler is going to share with you today. And he's also has some great free tutorials that we can probably include for you. This free Zoom forum comes to you from Chandler, Arizona, creating the ultimate live stream workout. And we would all love, things have changed in the world, as we know, but even though we will go back live, I swear to God, we will go back live and we will be in person, but virtual, even when we do, and slowly or quickly, virtual is here to stay. And so it's really good to learn some skills for it. So, and I know some people like myself who are very technically challenged, it's scary. No matter how old you are, but especially when you get on in age, it's like these things, like I got to learn something like that, so, but it's worth it. And the fitness industry needs us virtually or live more than ever now. So please remember that and don't give up on your fitness career, because everybody needs us more than ever, with older adults and everybody, for lots of reasons, as you probably know. So let's get started. Introducing Tyler Valencia. And Tyler is one of our Fitness Fest presenters. He was last year a presenter and a sponsor as well. And this year he is really part of the Fitness Fest team. He is the developer of the Fitness Fest virtual website and platform, and keeping everything beautiful and user-friendly for our virtual Fitness Fest that is happening September 24th to the 27th. He's the owner of Kips and Kettlebell Concepts, and he just started a new business called Time to Train, and he's got a select group of fitness professionals who are doing, he'll tell you more about it, but virtual workouts. So he just got that off the ground. I mean, it's just doing amazing already. So he's a real go-getter. So thank you, Tyler Valencia. Welcome to the free Zoom forum. And I'm going to ask you first, what are 3 pieces of equipment that are useful but underutilized?
Yeah. So first, thank you for having me, Janice, and coming over to my house to do this. So before we kick things off, if you are looking in the gallery view for Zoom, you might actually see another image or another video up that we have. So I actually have 2 screens on me right now. We actually have Janice's phone off to the offset. So if you wanted to see kind of the equipment that's set up all in front of me, feel free to check that one out. You could see the interface, which I'll talk about later, the music source, all those kinds of things. And later on in the demonstration, the presentation, I'm going to talk about connecting all these items. And so I'm actually going to use that one instead of looks like.
I just made you spotlight.
Oh, that's why I was like, well, I just changed. But if you want to check that one out, you'll be able to see some of the behind the scenes, we'll call it. So when we first talk about equipment for streaming workouts, the place where I'm going to start is actually with your phone. I will honestly say that utilizing your phone is probably going to be one of the most useful tools you can. In my opinion, quality is going to be so much more important than, I'll say, being able to view your participants. if you think about it, wouldn't you much rather your participants, your students, see you much more clear and for it to come across as something that looks more professional? So if you go check out, I'll say even the phone, it might be a little bit pixelated, more pixelated, just because I'm actually on an iPad and the phone is offset and there's not much, the lighting is not the best on it right now, but your phone is so much more powerful than typically the camera that you have on your computer. So that would actually be my number one, I'll say, underutilized piece of equipment with time to train. And it's not a secret, I'll say what I'm gonna share with you all, even though all the instructors that are part of this new company that I launched, Time to Train, I often mention that right off the bat. I say, what kind of phone do you have? And oftentimes they say, I have an iPhone 11 or I have an iPhone, whatever the latest model is. I say that is gonna be such a great tool for you to utilize as your camera. If you were to test this right after, pull up a Zoom room on your own, open up your camera on your computer, and then open up the Zoom on your phone, and you'll be amazed just to see how much more light goes into those cameras. The cameras on the back of the phone are so powerful. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about quality versus, we'll say, being able to see everybody while you're teaching your workout. In all honesty, and this is something that I've been polling people with, and I've honestly thought about doing a little bit of research with it, is that I found that not too many people keep their cameras on. We'll talk about the students, your members, the people that are part of your class. Not too many keep their camera on. So why would you sacrifice, we'll say, quality for being able to see them when they're not going to even keep their camera on? Is really quality with bogging it down? Is that really worth 10 seconds of them saying at the end, oh, great workout, I'll see you later? So something to think about with that. The next piece that I'm going to hit on is actually—
Can I say something real quick? Because I'm just looking at, to your point, I'm looking at everybody, and there's maybe out of the, let's see how many people, 33 people that are on, I bet you there's six faces. So
yeah.
To your point. Okay.
Case in point right
not
there.
Not that you guys are working out, but
yeah.
Anyway.
But really that's what we're, I'll say, typically seeing right now is that people oftentimes they'll teach a workout and nobody turns their camera on. So really you're sacrificing the quality of your video for that split second of, hey, great workout. So that will segue into something I'm going to talk about later with different platforms out there. But really, when we have so many windows open with Zoom, that just takes down the bandwidth. So now Zoom is having to basically, I'll say, sacrifice quality for all these rooms open. So that's something to think about as we move through this whole conversation today. The next piece I want to talk about is actually these little adapters. There's an adapter connected to the iPad Pro that I'm utilizing right now, which allows me to connect if you're looking in one of the other, the window that I have open that shows kind of the background scenes, that has a USB 3 port in it. But then these ones, if you're going to be utilizing your iPhone, this is going to be one of your best tools to utilize, just because you can charge your iPhone at the same time. But if you want to fix that issue that you're having with music, so that's one of the big things that a lot of people talk about. You see it on Facebook groups. You see people asking about it. How do I get rid of that lag? How do I get rid of the audio being in front of the music? You're going to need an interface or a mixer. And so that's what I actually have to the right of me right now. And that's the way that I connect it to an iPad or an iPhone. You can use either one, iPhone, iPad, but you're going to need the proper adapter for it. So this adapter, the one I have in my hand, is for an iPhone, or if you have an older iPad, like an iPad Air or not an iPad Pro, it has at the bottom a USB 3 port and then a charger. So you want to make sure that you have those ones in it, because those are going to be the ones that help charge the interface, but also help make sure everything is charged. Often these things, whether it's the interface, the microphone, those need power to drive them. They can't just power on themselves, so they need an external source. So that's what's important for that. So again, number 2, adapters. Finding the right adapters for all these items. Lastly, or number 3. So let's say that you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to try another platform. I'm not going to utilize Zoom. I'm going to utilize something so I can get a better quality. Something that I'm going to recommend is, and you guys will laugh, I got Janice to buy one of these too, is an external monitor. So when I hooked everything up for Janice, it's honestly like a whole setup. So honestly, Janice has the same setup that the extra camera is on off to my right. And the external monitor is a way that you can see yourself, because that is going to be part of one of the other items we talk about with ways to improve your stream, whether you're doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live. Is this is going to help with framing yourself. Before we even jumped on this, whether it was myself right here, I'm in my kitchen living room here, Janice is in my office right now, we worked on framing. So making sure that you were fully in frame, that you could see me, you could see my face, all these kinds of things. Janice too, we had to lift her up on that seat just a tad, because
Phone
I'm
books.
probably half a foot taller than her. But framing yourself is very important. Another item that we'll talk about later is the lighting that goes into that. But when you're doing a workout, so if you have a poor camera from your computer monitor, but if you're not framing yourself and you don't have lighting, it's just gonna look like a dark blob over there. So this external monitor can help you frame yourself. You can see yourself, make sure that you know, we'll call it your corners, your four corners here, so you know where you can go off to the side, making sure that you can stay all in frame. Things like that are really gonna help out with improving the quality of it. Because at the end of the day, think about it. You're trying to create that service so that people want to invest in this. If it looks like someone just flopped open their computer, you can't see them, and you're like, what kind of workout is this? They're not going to want to buy into it. But if you really work on these small things, you're framing, how are you going to see yourself while you're framing? If you've got all the right adapters, lighting, all those kinds of things, they see that it is a professional service that they can really ultimately, hopefully, invest a lot of money in, and it keeps you in the virtual space. Because I'm going to be 100% honest with everyone right now, is that there's a lot more competitors than there were 3 months ago, a month ago, or even when this started.
Oh
I'm
my
in that
gosh,
space.
yeah.
Just think, you have to compete against me, not to try to brag, but you have to compete against me in that space. And so I'm giving you all the tips that I talk about with my instructors. Some of the instructors with Time to Train are on this. And these are all the things that we spend hours going through. So I honestly recommend the same thing. Practice these things. Open up your Zoom, do a private Facebook Live, do a private Instagram Live, something that you can test all these things and make sure that your lighting looks great, audio sounds great. Because if I was to tell you to get a mixer or an interface and you just pull it out, you're probably like, okay, what are all these knobs on it? You really have to adjust all the knobs and play with it to find what that perfect level is. So keep that in mind.
So I'm just gonna interfere for a second here. I'm not even doing virtual workouts, but I do a weekly update, and Tyler had me buy all this stuff, and I'm looking at the camera and then the framing, and I cannot tell you how many takes I had to do because I wasn't framed right. I didn't look right, or it looked stupid. I wouldn't have it again. So now that he made me buy this, what do you call it?
An external monitor.
An external monitor, then I can see that, because the camera was faced, I used my phone, was faced the other way. So I couldn't see what I was doing or if my head was chopped off. So it's just like, oh my gosh. I mean, think of all the time I wasted. And so now I haven't used it yet, but because I just come over to Tyler's and let him help me. Go ahead, keep going.
No, that's good. Do you want to go into the next question?
Okay, yeah. Well, what is your equipment hierarchy of improving your streaming setup?
Yeah, so I'm going to focus on the three things here. And before I start on, I saw a question about, I keep talking about iPad and iPhones and whatnot. You can utilize Androids. I'm not too familiar with it. I have had these conversations. One of my instructors does utilize an Android phone, and we just had to make sure that all of it worked properly. So you can get quality microphones that have adapters or that do work with those types of, I'll say, products. I just don't know them as well off the top of my head, but they do work and they are great. I just don't utilize them. But you can definitely do that. You just, again, make sure you have the right adapters. And one of the differences you'll probably see is that with the Android devices, you don't need typically, like as Janice calls them, like the dongles that you need for audio on the bottom. But to go into the hierarchy, the three things. So I'm going to honestly say right off the bat, the top thing to improve is going to be your audio. I think audio is so important. And I know that when I recommend microphones, often people will say, wow, that's a hefty cost. And I get it. I get that microphones can be expensive. But go back 5 years ago, and the lavalier microphones that were available, that were on the market, they were twice as expensive and there was no middle point. 5 years ago, microphones, these like a lavalier microphone that I'm wearing right now, they were about $500, and that was really all that you really had. And what you would see on Amazon, you'd see stuff like around like $100, but it wasn't reliable. And I fell down that rabbit hole. I bought a $100 microphone. I can't tell you how many videos that I've ruined from buying a $100 microphone that just cut out all the time. You couldn't go too far away. If I wanted to right now, I can keep going back as far as I wanted to. I would say about, I forgot how far I could go back in this, but now you see that I did not change my lower half. I only put on a nice shirt, but with this, you can only
have your pajamas on, like some people.
It's just like it's a Zoom meeting. I just got to look nice up top. But with these microphones, you want to make sure that you invest in something that's quality. And so I always talk about the Rode Go microphone. It's $200. I'll tell you right off the bat, it's $200. I have worked with some of my instructors. They do have a $30 one. That's a wireless one, and it seems to be working great. But I don't know the longevity of it. There is a $100 knockoff of this one, and so far that's the one that you guys will laugh at this. I made Janice buy it so that I could test it, and so far it's working great. She's my test dummy for it. But really look at the reviews for those types of things. And going into that, you're probably wondering, okay, if I'm teaching a class too, how can I get the feedback, get the hearback? Of course, you need to buy external speakers that all fit into it, but we'll get back to that later on. We're just talking about microphone. I'm gonna put that at the top. Being able to make sure that your participants hear you clearly and that you're not having to shout, or there's not too many echoes. There might be some echoes right now because I'm in my kitchen right now as I'm filming this. But typically, a microphone's gonna make this tremendously better for the participants. The second one I'm gonna talk about is your lighting. So behind the iPad is a lighting setup, and you don't have to really, I'll say, spend thousands of dollars on it. That's not gonna really be the biggest thing, but really spending $40, and I'm gonna say this right now, do not buy a ring light. I'm anti-ring light. So, and I told this to Janice prior to this, ring lights, those are for when people are doing selfies. Like they're doing like their selfie videos. So you have to be in close proximity to it. But when you're teaching a class, you're typically gonna be 6 feet away from the camera. So a ring light that's meant for you to be up and close so that you could see just the selfie profile, it's not gonna light you up. You wanna get something that's powerful enough to light up a whole room. The light behind the camera right now, it's powerful for that. Honestly, it's about $40. There's light bulbs out there that you could buy with a stand and an umbrella, what's called a diffuser, to help soften the light on it. You don't have to break the bank on it. So Janice, will you actually spotlight your phone?
Okay.
You can do it.
Don't tell me how to do it. Don't tell me. Okay. So there's two me's. So it's probably the co-host me, right?
Come on.
I know.
You got it? The 3 dots?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay, here it is. Here it comes.
Okay, there we go.
Yay me.
If you're doing the speaker view, you should be on the phone now. So like I'm gonna move away from the other one. So if we look at this, and you'll notice, again, I'm wearing a lav mic so I can move around with it. So this is the light setup that is behind it. So with this, there's an umbrella. These umbrellas, I think you can get 2 of them for $20 on Amazon. The light stand, I believe that's $15, or it is $20 for one on Amazon. And this light bulb is $18 on Amazon. So that is a relatively cheap setup for what you're getting with it. And so it's really, an investment of $40. You can change the spotlight back to the other one, Janice.
Okay.
The investment for it is really something that is gonna be so much better than, look at that, than a ring light. And I'm sorry if you do have a ring light. I don't mean to be
I picture a lot of people do.
I know. Then the last thing is gonna be a camera. A camera is really, something that, the quality of it, the picture of it, if you want to take it to the next level, that's why I put it at the bottom, because it's probably going to be your biggest investment. If you don't have a nice phone already, if you don't have like an iPhone 10, you guys might laugh. I'm talking about all this tech stuff. I actually have an iPhone 8, and it's something that people are like, wait, you have an iPhone 8? It's because I have a 4K camera. I have an iPad Pro. I don't need iPhone 10. I'm just one of those people that I don't buy stuff unless I need it. But the iPad Pro, if you are honestly thinking about it, and I'm making a tutorial right now, I wish I would have been able to finish it before this, but the iPad Pro that's out right now, that's what I'm doing this from right now. And it's phenomenal. And I'm just using the back camera right now. I'm not using the one that's going to face outwards. It's a great piece of equipment that if you were even in the market for a new computer, they're trying to make these iPad Pros to essentially replace a computer. So if you could do all the things that you want to do, if you wanted to stream, you wanted to run your business from it, if you wanted to edit videos, take pictures, take videos for your business, you could do all those from one thing. You don't need all the extra items. And that's one of the things I'm talking about in this new tutorial that I'm making, is that this is something that you can transport around. I included the iPad Pro because if I wanted to, I could set something up with, so the camera that Janice is filming through right now, that's a $1,000 camera. It's a mirrorless 4K camera. It's a Sony camera that is phenomenal. It's great. I love it. But I would have to bring the camera. I would have to bring a laptop or a computer to film with. I would need all the extra adapters for it. The iPad Pro, great camera and all the extra features in it. So just a great piece of equipment that can essentially, you can run your business through, and you don't need to continually bring all this stuff with it. So think about iPads, think about your phone, whether it's a iPhone or an Android phone, utilizing those in your streaming process.
Awesome. Kathy asked to put names of the mic and the light recommendations in here. Should we just kind of do that at the end? Because there's going to be more to come. Yeah, we'll do that, Kathy. Okay, for those using Facebook and Instagram Live, how can you make yourself look and sound better? And I think we kind of touched on this, and that's when I was kind of saying about when I do the updates, which is kind of like doing Facebook. But go ahead. How can we make ourselves look and sound better?
Well, one, you could utilize, if you have this equipment, yeah, why not utilize it? You can definitely utilize a lot of this equipment in those. There's nothing against that. But two things, and these are things that Janice already mentioned was the framing, but also the lighting. If you're inside, turn lights on. I'm in my kitchen right now. I don't have the overhead light on because I have this extra light on, but turn lights on. When a great example of this, and I'm going to give Janice a lot of credit for this, is that her Facebook Live that she did, I believe it was last week, and I texted her right after it that I was like, wow, great job with the lights that you put on and framing yourself, because just turning on overhead lights, or even if you're next to a window, open up that window, that's going to help light up your face. Things like that can really help people.
Practice. I think it was an accident, but anyway, thank you. But it was practice. Like now I've been doing more, not as many Facebook Lives, but the weekly updates, when you have to really, when you see yourself and your head's chopped off, or you're not in the middle, and you kindly, tell me your head was chopped off. You think about it more, you keep thinking about it more. And one thing that, also, like I'm not, I'm practicing more is looking right at the camera, because right now I have to look right at the camera. If really, if I look this way, you're not seeing me in the right, in the right light. So that's something, it's just practice. It's scary. And someone mentioned, are you going to talk about that scary thing, the mixer? So are you going to talk about that scary thing, the mixer, later?
That's item number 6.
Okay.
Today,
all right.
I'm going to assemble everything.
Okay. Yay. Okay.
But those two things, and they're basic. And I know we hit on those so we can move past it, but your lighting and your framing are going to make all the difference when you do Facebook Lives, Instagram Live. With Instagram Live, it is portrait mode, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But with Instagram Live, you are looking long way. So how are you going to frame yourself? Are you going to put yourself on a tripod and angle yourself down? Or are you going to have a tripod facing forward? But then you got to think about the ground setting. Now, what are my 4 corners? Do I have enough side on the left, the right to do everything that I want to? Those are all the things that you got to consider. And just how Janice said, the practice will come in handy. Open your phone up, just open it in video mode, and just see where you are with all those kinds of things. You don't necessarily have to start those items, but just open up a video, open up record yourself, see all that sounds. That's exactly what I do with this equipment, is that I just record myself. I play with all the knobs and I see how it sounds or when it plays back.
Cool. What are some unknown streaming platforms, just someone to look for?
Yeah, this is a good one because I know it's funny. I know a lot of people are like this. Change is scary. We're very comfortable with, I can talk about that, Connie. Changing from Zoom can be scary. We're comfortable with it. Everybody took that first month to learn Zoom, learn how to make sure their audio was on, make sure that their camera was on or off. We all took that time in that first month of the pandemic. And now I'm going to talk about moving to a different platform, which can be scary. I understand. But there are so many platforms out there. Honestly, tons of platforms out there for streaming, and you got to find what works for you. I'm going to talk right off the bat about the one that actually, and it's not like it's going to be a secret, but the one that I utilize for Time to Train, which is the business that I just started, is Vimeo streaming. That is something that I'll say you immediately notice the quality difference. Every time that this past week, I don't know which one of my instructors are on here right now, but whenever we do our tests through Vimeo streaming, you immediately notice the difference in quality. You're like, wow, that is 1080p. That is really clear. That looks great. And it's because we don't have all the extra windows up. We're not bogging down that bandwidth for Zoom. So we can really emphasize the quality of the workout coming out. And I'll say the detractors for it, one of the biggest things is the cost. Vimeo streaming is expensive. It starts at $900. I get it. That is expensive. I know. Number two is that you don't see people for your platform. And it depends. As a fitness professional, we're all used to saying it depends with populations and whatnot, but it depends on what type of exercise you're doing with your participants. If you're doing something where you need to see them and you need to cue and correct them on their format, yeah, Zoom's probably gonna be your best bet. But if you don't need to see them and you don't need them to pop up at the end, look at these other platforms. Vimeo streaming, another one that I looked at really quite a bit was something called Restream. That's actually where I stole this whole setup from. I'm a fitness professional. I couldn't figure all this out. I don't know what an interface was, but I found a bunch of tutorials on all this stuff. I bought the stuff, I tested it all out, and Restream is a great one out there that you could do streaming to Facebook. You could go to Instagram, I believe, YouTube, all those kinds of things. So that's another one to look at. There's tons of them out there. Another one that I've heard about from some colleagues is Wix. Wix has streaming capabilities. I don't know too much about it, but that's another platform that's out there. And that, of course, can build into your website. But just do your research on one, what is it that I need for my business? Do I need to see people? If not, okay, let's move to part two. What can I utilize that can really improve the quality and it still meets my needs and make sure that everybody can see what I'm doing? A part of Vimeo streaming that I like, and this is going to be part of the puzzle that I need to fix, is how do I still create that engagement? I can put up a chat box. I can do polls, which is pretty cool. Those types of features of it is pretty nice. And in all honesty, if all people are doing at the end is saying, great workout, can't they do that in a chat box? I would say yes. And I still keep great quality through it. And it just makes sure that the product is always gonna be something they wanna invest in. So think about those things. You could honestly do a quick search online. You'll find different platforms that you can host all your workouts on, but you still have to do the selling for. I've seen tons of those out there that they host all your videos and whatnot, and you pay for packages that essentially they have the whole platform set up and whatnot, and you invite your members for it. There's tons of them out there for that. So just doing a little bit of research on Google, you can find plenty of items out there.
All right, great. For the instructors who have mastered their setup, what's the next step? Let's have a raise of hands from the, I mean, I don't want to say mastered, this is what the question is, but for those of you experienced one, let's have some hand raising. Or some chat. Lauren, yep. I know she has. Manuel, I know you have. Come on, Manuel. I see your cool stuff. Don't be shy, dude. Okay.
I had two hand raisers. So what did she say? What did Chrissy
We're
do?
not going to check your
I would
homework.
like,
Don't, Heather. Okay.
like to add some music. We'll get in there. So the next steps is of course, like venturing out into integration. How do I integrate this stuff into a business that I can essentially sell? And, you know, the scary thought is saying, okay, I need to build a website. I need to create something that looks good, that I could create a membership-based, a membership platform for. And I'm going to give you guys a secret of mine. And it's not what I used for to build mine, because I built Time to Train myself. But is something called Fiverr. If you have not gone onto Fiverr before, if you don't know what it is or you heard about it, Fiverr is a great resource to honestly find contractors from around the world that can do a variety of things. Essentially, you pay somebody. They could be in Russia, they could be in India, but they could make logos for you. They could make websites for you. They could do SEO for you. A plethora of things that could really help a business. So that is one resource that if you're like, okay, website sounds really scary for me, I don't want to break the bank on it, I can look into Fiverr, find somebody to build this for me. There is going to be, oftentimes there is the language barrier with it that you have to deal with because English is not their first language, but they do good work. I can honestly say that I've gotten logos made from Fiverr before. I've gotten SEO services from Fiverr before. Let me see, what else have I gotten? Animated logos from Fiverr before.
Can you spell, I think that's what Kathy wants you to spell.
Fiverr is Fivver. And I mean, the animate, if you like, I'm going to give the secret away, Janice. The animated logo that's for Fitness Fest, that came from Fiverr.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of
pretty
those
cool. Hopefully you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
It's really neat. And a little
and the
music
turnaround on some of these items, they work quick too. So next steps, you're thinking about your website, you're thinking about your membership, essentially platform. So a way to protect the content. So typically when you build a website, now you need to, whether you're using, I believe you can do it on Squarespace. If you, they can allow you to protect stuff. Wix, I know you can have a membership side of it. WordPress, I'm a big WordPress person. All the websites that I build are on WordPress. And now you want to see how you can create a membership side of it so that you can monetize it, so that you can start making money off it, so that you can start promoting it and having people subscribe to it. So they have resources out there for these membership sides of it that essentially protect your content. I've used a handful of them. They all have their different integrations for it. And that's why also I utilize WordPress a lot, is that WordPress can integrate with a lot of things. It can integrate with your newsletter if you are doing monthly or weekly newsletters. You can integrate with your membership side of it. You can integrate with, if you're embedding stuff, all the other ones can do that one. But think about building that next step, that business end of it, so that you can start creating that platform. Because honestly, I hope, and this is bad to say, I think, but I hope everybody builds their own stuff and does not go to those other websites, because I want people to learn this stuff and I want them to make the money off it and not have to give the cut to some other company. Build it yourself, learn that process, and be able to essentially make your own living off of it. That's what I think. But I'm just one of those people, as you know, Janice. I like to tinker with things.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to talk, before we go on to the Let's Assemble, let's answer some of these questions, okay?
Yeah.
Chrissy said that she needs to see her students and she has an external monitor and a camera, but her sound has too much echo.
Chrissy, could you put in there, are you using anything with it? Are you using a mixer or interface already, or is there just already too much echo?
I'm just using, I have a Logitech camera and it has a microphone on it. And that is
okay.
the one I'm currently using.
What's probably happening is that camera is close to your speakers. So the sound that's going from your speakers is then going into the microphone, and it creates this endless loop of just continuously catching it, receiving it, which causes that echo. So you might have to move the speakers away or find a way to move the camera away so that you're not getting that feedback on it.
Okay. And Jamie just asked about spelling Wix, but that's like the Wix we used to have, the W-I-X. Yeah.
Correct.
I
Look at
answered that
Janice
myself.
answering questions.
Woo, woo. Okay, music. You want to talk about the mixer now and the music?
I saw another one about something about outside, right?
Yeah, outdoor lighting is Connie. So yeah, and Connie and I will both need to know that because we'll be
So
working together
That's
next
where we
week.
do it.
I'll use the example that probably Connie will be interested in is when you're filming outside, the lighting with it. And honestly, what you want to do is plan, because if you go outside when you start in the morning, that lighting's going to be different than when you're starting at midday.
Right.
So last week, Janice and I filmed her Aqua Progressions 2 workshop for Fitness Fest. But we were planning to start around, I believe it was 9.
8:30 or 9, yeah, in the morning.
But at 8:30, the shadows, it was actually good that she was a little bit late, and I'm not calling her out for it, but she was a little bit late. But what was good was the shadows moved across and away from where we were going to film. So when you're filming in the morning, there potentially is going to be shadows across where you're filming. Those can block the light that's going into the camera. So think about when you're starting, where are you filming, and essentially go out and start framing certain things out to make sure that you could see yourself fully, and making sure that in the camera that there's not going to be anything that's going to block anything. Outside also, if you're going to be utilizing some of this stuff, you got to have the proper cords and all that kind of stuff. To get back to outside too, heat is going to be a factor in it.
It was so hot last week, and it was overcast. So, but we had to stop several times because both of your pieces of equipment had to be cooled off. I think you put them in the freezer, right? Or the fridge.
At one point I put them in the freezer to cool them down.
Yeah.
But it was so hot out here in Arizona
Yep.
that the equipment was starting to overheat. So if you are going to plan to teach some type of outdoor workout that you're going to stream, keep that in mind. Your stuff might overheat if you live in one of those areas that's hot. Vegas, Phoenix,
Florida.
California right now is, I know, very hot. Southern California, where I used to live, it's 110 in the valley right now, I believe. So keep that in mind. The stuff will overheat. I think we were on a 15-minute filming and then taking about 20 minutes to cool everything down, just because things would overheat and didn't want things to break. So we had to cool those things off. So keep all those factors in mind if you're streaming, because all of a sudden you might be streaming, all of a sudden it's gone, because these devices, they just turn off when they overheat. They have things built into them that will just automatically turn off to save them. I briefly touched on the cords. If you're teaching outside and you want to use a mixer, you want to use an interface, you want to have this setup that I have here, you're going to need an extension cord. You're going to need all the proper extension cords to get wherever you are. This stuff, again, you got to think about this iPad, this whole setup, it needs power to continuously go. So make sure that you're close enough. I would say if you're thinking, okay, can I do this in a park? You got to figure out how you're going to power it. You can get some type of battery, transport a battery, or what are they called? I'm drawing a blank on what those are, but you just got to make sure that you have power for those items. Is there another question, Janice?
Did we cover enough of the mixer and the music?
That's going to be the last item where I connect everything.
Okay. Chrissy would this kit be appropriate? She's got
I have to check that out
link there.
later.
We'll check that out later, Chrissy.
But I'll say, let's start.
And we'll be sure to answer you though, don't worry.
I'm going to move some things here.
Should I change the spotlight?
Yeah, change the spotlight. You got it, Janice.
I know I do. It's just when I hear the word spotlight, it always reminds me on our family vacation. We rented a big van, and there were like 8 of us in the van, and there was all these lights, all these lights coming down, and we all were dancing in the van, and we called it the spotlight dance. So I just keep thinking about that. Sorry for that story. And there was a little alcohol involved as we were dancing in the van and doing the spotlight dance. So. Oh, we got a couple. I think the hands were raised from before, right, Heather?
I believe they were.
Lauren? Okay. All right.
You spotlight it?
Not yet.
Come on.
I was telling my story. I cannot multitask. Now, hold on there. All right. There.
Perfect. Okay, so this setup and the reason, so I've done tutorials on mixers and I've done tutorials on interfaces. And honestly, I think the interface is a much better purchase just because it is going to be a lot easier to set up, I think. And the bad part about that, or the harder part of that, is that mixers tend to be a little more in stock. The interfaces are a lot harder to come by, but you can find these secondhand, offer up, Facebook Market. Some people might be price gouging just a tad, but if you find a used one between $70 to $120, this exact model, the Focusrite Solo, I think that is a great price to purchase it. So keep that in mind. So I'm gonna quickly go through the interface and all these things, what they do. So essentially the first port here is your microphone. So this is where you're actually hearing me. So this is actually what's coming in right now to the audio is coming in through this port right here. You do have to have the proper adapter for it. This is an XLR adapter that plugs in so that I can use this microphone cord right there. You probably will see as we're doing this is that it's turning green. So that's my volume level. And another reason why I like this model is that it tells you when you're peaking. So let's say that you're talking too loud or that you have the volume up too loud, it's gonna turn red when it goes. So I have a rough idea where I have it now, but if I was to turn it up loud, my voice might get really loud and all of a sudden I start peaking and you heard, or maybe you even saw that red part of it. So that's a pretty cool feature of this, is so you have a visual cue of where you are audio wise. So port 2 now, your instrument port on this is gonna be the music. So I do have some music right now on. Right now it's just some Spotify right now. So if I start turning this up, you can start to see that the music starts to light up. It's giving you some feedback on where it is. So all these things are working together, and you could turn that one up as loud as you needed to. And again, you'd want to start adjusting those levels so that you know where your audio is and also where your microphone is, to make sure that the people can hear you. They can make sure that everything's coming in very smoothly on this. And then the last one on here is your playback. So if you're teaching a format, I'll get there, Chrissy. If you're teaching a format where you need to hear people, or sorry, not hear people, if you need something on the beat so that when you are doing your format and you need to make sure you're on the beat, you need playback speakers on this. So I bought some $20 Amazon speakers and I attached them. There's an adapter here. It's a female XLR adapter, but this is how I can plug these speakers into this, and I can adjust the playback here so that I can hear the music, and you can turn this as loud as you want. And for this, actually, this Zoom call right now, that's the speakers where I hear Janice or I hear anybody asking questions. It's through them right now, through this playback right here. So that's the general setup right here. Somebody had asked, I believe Chrissy asked about the iPad. So I have for my music source is an iPad. You will need some extra source for music for this. So an issue that some people run into is that they are trying to play the music off of the same item that they're doing their music and also their microphone. That's not gonna work. You need an external source to play with from it. So the iPad, which I have a adapter on the end of it, the dongle that you need. So that is what is playing the music right now into this interface so that all of it is on one line going into whatever streaming process that you are doing. Let me see, you got that. And so then you can also see here, along with my kitchen, you got the adapter. So this part, and part of what I would highly recommend, I believe you can use an interface or a mixer that is not USB. I don't know. I've only used USB-based mixers and audio interfaces, but this is USB based, so I can plug it directly into the adapter, which goes into the iPad Pro with that. So that is the general setup for that. Again, you will need your power cords and all that kind of stuff to make it all work, but that is essentially what goes into your streaming platform right there. There was a question I saw about
the legal issues, and I know we were talking about, so Muscle Mixes is one of our sponsors for our virtual fitness fest. You're just going to have to sign up for Fitness Fest to find out the answers to that, Prissy. Just kidding. What did she say about that? Tyler, do you legal issues for using Spotify? You want me to change the spotlight thing?
Yeah, change the spotlight thing.
Are you using two iPads is her other question.
This iPad, the second one, that's just for the music. You could use a phone. I believe you could use a computer, an iPod if they make iPods still. I know that Janice has an old iPod.
Excuse me, stop throwing me under the bus.
But if you have an iPod, you could use that. It doesn't have to be an iPad. That was the easiest thing for me to pull in for this, so that's why I used it. But it easily could have been my phone that I was playing music from with it.
Let me change the spotlight. You're still looking at that, so you want me to keep it there for a little bit?
You can change it.
Okay. Yeah, the legal thing. I know that one of our Fit Pro connections, we talked about that, and
I was on that one.
You remember what the answer is?
I think it depends on the platform. If you're recording it,
they really throw you when you do Facebook and stuff,
yeah.
Right?
And
that those guys really throw you under the bus.
Because they have the more advanced
power
algorithms that can catch these types of things. So I would be careful with the platform that you're doing it through. If it's Facebook, YouTube, they have very powerful algorithms that can catch copyrighted music, and just be careful with those things. And especially if you're doing lives, or also if you are recording them and then selling them, that's also something to be careful with. Because if you're using copyrighted music and then you're going to sell it after, you can't do that to make a profit off of it. So be careful with those two items, but definitely make sure you look into it more. With the Spotify in the classes, I mean, that again goes into your platform. Somebody had asked me about the white adapter. That's what I use to connect and power the interface, and also use it into the Zoom right now.
Yeah, you're right, Heather. You need to. There's royalty-free music.
Yep.
So that's the safest thing, I guess. But really, Denise and Bessie, if you know who that is, she's the owner of Muscle Mixes Music. She's been in business for 25 years. Really knows her stuff. She was one of, like I said, one of the Fit Pro connections, and we talked about all that. But she's also she's a vendor at Fitness Fest, and she's going to be talking more about licensing and all that. I just laughed because that is a very nice looking cat. So we'll, if you're new to us and you're not signed up for Fitness Fest yet, the virtual expo, so Fitness Fest is September 24th through the 27th. As far as the workshops, continuing education, lots and lots of formats, lots of certifications, lots of ways to keep up your certification. But during that, we also have an expo, a virtual expo, where there's clothing and there's Stroop's equipment and there's tons. We have tons of vendors and tons of sponsors, and we're trying to make it as interactive. We are making it as interactive and fun. Lots of freebies. We're giving away Lululemon pants, and we're giving away Stroop's We're giving away lots of giveaways, lots of prizes, lots of discounts. So the expo itself, the vendor part, is free and open to the public. We don't have the link yet to that, so you're just going to really have to pay attention. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and pay attention to our emails. We're going to be sending a lot out. So I'm just saying that because I said Muscle Mix and not Power Music. Oh, no, I did not say that. I did not say Muscle Mix and Power Music were safe. I just said Denise is the owner of Muscle Mix's music, and she knows more about the licensing. So
and something that I know we're talking about streaming today, but a part of what I usually recommend with purchasing this equipment is also purchasing it to utilize if you're filming content. This microphone can be utilized if you're filming tutorials, you're doing tutorials for clients or pre-recorded workouts. This is stuff that you can utilize for it in order to do that. And what I usually recommend and what I do when I make my own tutorials for YouTube is I will just go to SoundCloud or I'll go to YouTube and I'll just type in royalty-free music, because I don't want my video to not be able to utilize on YouTube or anything like that. So I'll just find you royalty-free music easily like that and utilize it in those tutorials that way. So, I mean, there are the services like Janice just mentioned, like muscle mixes that you can utilize for if you're teaching workouts, but also check out other platforms or free stuff if you can. So when you're trying to find free stuff off of SoundCloud, you're often not going to find the best music on there, and it takes a little bit of time to find a few of them, but it works if that's what you're trying to do.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I saw a question about the recommendations.
Oh yeah, for Mixer.
For a mixer
Fern.
or?
Maybe there was another, but I do say Fern asked any recommendations on mixers.
So the interface, the one that I just showed is an interface. And the interface that I recommend is the Focusrite Solo. I know it works great. It's what I'm using right now in this Zoom. I've even planned to use it with the podcast recordings that I do. Mixers that I can recommend, the one that I've been wanting to buy, it's so hard to find. It's the Yamaha AGO3. It's really hard to find right now because I believe it is something really quality. The one that a couple of my instructors use with Time to Train is the Phoenix something, and it's spelled FHENYX, I believe. On Amazon, I believe it's about $100 to $120 right now. I believe when I bought it, it was like $60, but it's gone up in price just because there's a high demand for it. That one, when you work with mixers, I think one of the hardest things is finding the right levels for everything, just because there are so many knobs on it and it can be intimidating. That's why, again, another reason why I recommend the interface, the Focusrite Solo. As you all saw when I went through it, there's only 3 ports. There's 4 knobs to mess with, and you get a visual feedback of where you are with your levels. So that's why I recommend it. The Focusrite is spelled FOCUSRITE. It's the Focusrite Solo. And that one is usually around 120 to 150. Definitely check OfferUp, check Facebook Market. I'm all over those things all the time. My home gym is filled with used equipment. The mixer that I have tried myself, and I'll be honest, I returned it, but I returned it because I have the Focusrite Solo. I didn't need 2 of them, but that one that I tested and I did get it to work, it was okay, but Phoenix was spelled, I believe, FHENYX, something like that. It was a different spelling, but it's on Amazon.
Okay. And then we were going to list some other things from earlier on, like the interface and the mic and everything, the names, a couple of recommendations.
Mm-hmm. And we can also include those in the follow-up. That'd probably be easier too.
Okay. So our follow-up will come in the next couple of days. So you'll all get the email on it, and then the recording will be, like I said, ready in a few days as well. Always go to Fit Pro Connection and just it's a library of free stuff. We've just had some great, and this one will be included, but we've had some great topics and some great information from some great speakers. Yeah.
Let's get some more questions.
More questions.
Is that all of them?
I think so. Did we miss anything?
No.
Anybody else? How many cats do you have? That's an important one. He has 3.
Somebody asked that?
Julia did.
Ask that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have 3 cats. Time to Train is time, the number 2, train. And the website is time, the number 2, train.fitness. Can you show your setup again with the monitor? Kathy, do you want to see the whole setup of it, or how I did before?
You can unmute yourself if it's easier, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Janice, what do you?
Spotlight dance again. Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so just to, not quickly, but just to go through it again, port 1, your channel 1 right here, that's the microphone line, and that is what you guys are hearing me through right now. So I have my Rode Go microphone right here, and another cool feature of the Rode Go is that you could also see your speaking volumes on those, so you could also adjust those. With it, with this, you can also adjust your audio line here so that you could see where your volume is, if it's peaking or anything like that. Chrissy, it's called the Focusrite Solo, Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Channel 2 for this is the audio. So a question that we got before was also, they see the iPad in the back. This music line that goes into channel 2, this one can be a phone if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be an iPhone. It could be an Android phone, whatever you use to play music. It could be an iPhone, but that goes into channel 2 and that adjusts the volume here with it. So these are all things that adjust there. The next one on here is your playback monitor. So if you are teaching a format that you need to stay on cue, need to stay on beat with it, that is what the monitor or the playback speakers. So those are just $20 speakers. They don't sound the best, but for what the purposes are that I'm using them and the cost, they work great. This interface connects to the iPad Pro that's up here. So you can see a camera inside of a camera there, that you could see this all connects through the adapter. So having appropriate adapters for it. And this is a USB based interface. So that's one of the important keys of it, is that it's a USB interface. And then if I wanted to, I can hook this up to a computer or needed, but a USB interface or a USB mixer is what you want to try to find. Can it
Or
work with?
I like what Chrissy called it, the red box thingy. That's
Can
more
you
like
use,
what I would say.
Can you use one that's not USB based? You can. I wouldn't recommend it. It'd be a lot harder. I've seen some people online have questions about those. If they don't have a USB based interface or mixer, I think it's a lot harder to figure it out. I don't know what it is because I've always made sure to buy the USB based ones, but that's what I would recommend. USB based mixer interface. I think I might have talked about, I don't think I mentioned this before. I always buy this nifty USB 3 port. I think this is a great additional tool. I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but that's what I use to plug into the adapter up here. And I like this one because also, let's say that you don't have a solid Wi-Fi connection. You could power your whole setup with this. There's an Ethernet port right on the bottom of it. And this is just a USB 3.0 port that I plug into the adapter that goes on the bottom. So hypothetically, with this adapter too, I'll go in right here. I think with this adapter, whoa, almost lost your phone there, Janice.
Oh, by the way, I have
There is
an iPhone 11 Pro, and we all know that's a pretty expensive phone.
Okay, you can change it back. With that adapter, there is also an HDMI port on it. So let's say that you bought everything that I talked about today, and now you want to use the adapter, so you want to use that external monitor. You could utilize that with this setup too. There's an HDMI port right on the bottom of it that you could connect that external monitor to.
Okay, there's a lot of cord questions. I think you covered all of them. What are cords from camera? You can read that.
What cords needed to attach to the mixer? Mary, I can send you my personal recommendations, Mary. Where are cords from camera connecting? So the iPad Pro, so one, I have the Apple USB-C AV adapter. I believe that's what it's called. And that has those 3 ports on the bottom of it. So one's a charger, one's an HDMI port, and the last one is a USB 3.0 port. The USB 3.0 port plugs into the interface where the cords from the camera connecting. Yep. USB makes a lot of sense. They're making that distinction because you name the adapter with the Ethernet connection hole. This one is from Anker, ANKER. And it's I think it was maybe $20 or $30 on Amazon. And it just has 3 USB 3.0 ports on it and the Ethernet port on the bottom if you wanted to plug that into it.
You know, your camera in here is covering my chat, so it's hard for me to write a message. Tyler.
Janice, I think
What?
the camera might have overheated on your end.
Oh,
I
really?
don't see you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But did you hit the camera button?
No, but I did move it a little bit, so maybe.
Okay.
No, it's still on. But it didn't say overheat. Can you see me?
Nope. She's blacked out.
She's blacked out. Unless I.
Janice, you can come out here if you want.
Yeah, I'll go out there.
Okay, any more questions before we sign off on this? Let's see, chat. Or is everybody just laughing at Janice? I am a Broncos fan.
He really should have gotten rid of that Broncos cup. Or I
No
wouldn't have come
way.
over. Let's get rid of that. Come on now.
It's my.
Where's your Cardinals gear? Where's your Cardinals gear?
I need my caffeine. It's hard when I have to move close to people and then far away so they can see my whole body, both seated and standing. Chrissy, are you saying that like with move close to people and then far away? What you could potentially do for that, Chrissy, is let's say that you get this set up. You can use an external monitor, like your TV, if you wanted to. You could hook an HDMI cord from the bottom of this, and that can connect to your TV through an HDMI port, and now you could see everything that's on there. So potentially, let's say you're teaching it in your living room, and you want to be able to see everything, make sure you get the good camera on the back, HDMI cord that right to your TV, and now you have a huge monitor as an external monitor. Heather B, yeah, you could.
Type your email in the chat. And you can always reach him through me too. If you lose this, Janice@fitnessfest.org, but he's typing it in the chat right now.
That's a private one.
What's that?
That's a private message. Jeez.
Oh. Nothing's private with me.
And you can ask questions you can unmute if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
But can we put in the chat if anyone wants to, so remember Fitness Fest, Tyler is going to have a great workshop, more on this, more on streamlining workouts. We've got social media workshops. Of course, we've got yoga and pound and beat boss cycle and all sorts of great stuff. So if you haven't signed up already and you want a discount, use Janice, Janice 30, Janice 30. And of course, Manuel's going to be there. Connie's going to be there. So we have a good handful of speakers, presenters that are on the call right now. Phil Donnelly, Cycle. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Maggie, of course, is our Zoom expert staff person coming on. So, yep, we're going to have a lot of representation, about 100 workshops, different formats, lectures, workouts, master classes, all sorts of fun. So sign up, use the discount, fitnessfest.org. Next week's Fit Pro Connection, if you don't know who Samantha Clayton is, is quite a world-known speaker, presenter, and she's going to be on the Zoom call. Tricia Murphy Madden, I'm sure many of you know her. She was Idea Leader of the Year just last month. She's going to be on the free Zoom call next Friday, and Leslie Bender. So we're going to talk about pivoting, about how to be successful in this changing world and what's going on. So you'll definitely want to sign up for that. Each week we have these, and each week you do have to sign up. It just, like you found out, just takes a couple seconds, and then we send you the access code. So we're looking forward to that next Friday. And the week after that, we will be super busy with Fitness Fest, and it's going to be a blast. So hope to see you there. Any more questions for Tyler or for me?
My session is called, I need to look it up, Creating a Streaming Workout Platform. So very similar to all the stuff today. I'll probably go more in depth on the platforms for hosting. And I am a fan of continuing to search this stuff out, find ways to adapt. So between now and then, I wouldn't be surprised if I found even more stuff about the different platforms and all that kind of stuff. But that is a session that I'll be teaching on Saturday. It's a very popular time. So sign up for it, even though you can go to multiple sessions, sign up for it so that I look good against some big competition at that time. I believe it's 12:20.
Right. Yeah.
Bigger names than me.
Yes, there's so many things to choose from, and that's one of the reasons that, and we also know you guys don't really want to sit in front of a computer 8 hours, 3 days in a row. So we're recording everything, including Tyler's session. He'd like you to be on live, like he said, so you can look popular and be popular, but we'll also record it so you can watch your access to everything, all 100 workshops for later. I mean, and all your CECs. So it's kind of a no-brainer, no matter what format you teach, or if you're looking for a new format, now is the time. Fitness, the industry is not going down. So don't believe that crap that, there's so many opportunities now. So grab it and sign up for Fitness Fest. There's lots of certifications too. When you go to fitnessfest.org and you go to virtual fitness, on the left, Tyler always says, "Are you going to talk with your hands? Where are your hands?" Yes, I can't help but talk with my hands. When you go to Virtual Fitness Fest website, on the left, there's the CEC grid, there's the agenda, there's the steps. So there's a lot to look at. So spend a few minutes right now.
Yeah.
Take a look.
One more question. I saw one more come in about the tripod. One suggestion that I could have for that, Julia, and this might be a little advanced, but they make things that you can split. It sounds crazy. You could split the view for things. And if you went to our first weekend Fitness Fest webinar, I actually used 2 cameras and I would split the view of it. So there's things that you can basically press a button and it could show one camera view or a second camera view. That might be your resource for it, that you could do this is an HDMI splitter, and you could essentially have one that's on the floor or one that's up so that nobody's missing your whole view for that. Just an idea. Okay, cool. You want to sign off?
Yeah, that's it. If we don't have any more questions, remember, look for our recap. Thank you, everybody, for signing in. Thanks for checking in. We love you. Stay safe, stay strong. See you at Fitness Fest in 2 weeks, or see you at the Fit Pro Connection next Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then see you in 2 weeks for Fitness Fest. Thank you, everybody.
Go Broncos.
Great, Tyler. Great information. Hey, who said that?
Maggie.
I took it.
Look at that, Maggie.
Maggie. Oh, that's
You
right,
know
I
me,
remember
girl.
that.
I'm all Broncos. Oh,
She
sign
literally
up,
took my
Bron-
cup away.
I did. He came
Go
out.
Packers. Bye.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
my real arch enemy, the Seahawks. Oh, Fern. Oh, you know how the Cardinals hate the Seahawks.
Them sea turkeys.
Well, I got to tell you, I know we're not here to talk about football, but I'm glad
They are
things are
now.
opening up, even though they don't have fans. So, something about normalcy and routine kind of thing, right? So, yeah, got to get, stay safe, stay strong, but, let's start living a little bit.
Yeah.
So things are starting to open up more, and but stay strong, stay safe. All right, signing off.
All right, bye.
Bye.